Happy holiday and welcome to Law Power Hour. Today I am really excited to have Tanya Phillips with us from Southwest Detroit Legal Program. Tanya, thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
You know, uh, everything that we've talked about trying to accomplish on this show as it relates to helping individuals get back on their feet when they're involved in the criminal justice system is all in one neat package, and she's the director of the program. Tell us about your program.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Our organization is Southwest Detroit Community Justice Center, and we facilitate a community court program. So, what that means is that if you receive a criminal misdemeanor ticket in the Southwest Detroit area, then you have the opportunity to participate in a program that allows you to do community service as restitution that avoids high fines, which can go up to $500, or jail, which can be up to 93 days in jail. You can give back to your community and you can invest in yourself. We provide opportunities for employment, mental health counseling, family support, continuing your education, and we help you with those things and get through the legal process. Most cases are dismissed at the end of the day, and it's working out to just be a win-win situation.
So let me translate this, make it real
Yes.
simple.
Okay.
So you get in trouble, you have a misdemeanor.
Yes.
Could it be domestic violence?
Well, not domestic violence and not drunk driving.
Okay, I got to
Yeah.
ask up
Oh,
front,
yes,
okay,
of
because
course,
people
of
are going to want to
course.
know these things. And,
That is
you know,
true. So,
I'm known for
yes,
asking these questions. So,
that's true. You have to
it,
get it out up front.
yeah,
Yes.
I want people to know that it doesn't apply to those. However,
Yes.
if you have an assault and battery, for example,
Yes.
and it's
Yes.
a misdemeanor meaning that it's punishable by a fine of up to $500
That's correct.
or 93 days maximum.
Yes.
Okay. So you can go through what I call a diversion program.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, you have to understand something. I'm sitting next to a woman who could go out and earn 3 to 4 times as much money as she's earning as the director of this program just by hiring on one of the major law firms in the city of Detroit because she has impeccable background. She's a graduate of University of Michigan Political Science. She has a law degree from University of Michigan.
Yeah.
She's articulate, she's pretty, she's intelligent,
Well, thank you.
and she could just be the face of a law firm, but she's taken on this challenge, which I
That's
think
good.
is phenomenal. I really do. I am taken back with this. When Dr. Holly was here this morning, I introduced her to Dr. Holly because he's talked about these programs. We've talked about them, but she is living it every day.
Yes, and I enjoy it. And thank you so much for those compliments. But I'm a native Detroiter. I was born and raised here. I have lived through the challenges as well, and I'm very thankful to be able to take my talents and be a part of the solution.
Now,
It's very rewarding.
is this a pilot program? By a pilot program only for Southwest Detroit right now because it's something that should be throughout the entire county.
I agree, and that's very exciting and very motivating to me as well. Right now, it is a pilot program. It is in Southwest Detroit, but we're putting together the foundation, and I would certainly like to see this spread. I know that there is a need for it throughout the city, throughout the county, throughout the state. Our criminal justice system is broken, and the brokenness is not limited to one geographic area, but you do have to start somewhere. So we're starting in Southwest Detroit.
One of the questions that I have is, when one of my clients is involved in the program in the suburbs,
Mhm.
they make them do PBTs and they do urine tests. Do they
Mhm.
have to do that in your diversion program?
Well, it depends on the offense. Most people no. But if it's a possession related charge or a drug related charge, then oftentimes there is a requirement to drug test randomly. And that's not for a punitive reason, but you want to help people get through that treatment and rehabilitation process.
So if someone has a 93-day sentence, how long is your program?
Most of our cases wind up in 60 to 90 days. It's a
And
short-term program.
and you think you can make a difference in 60 to 90 days getting people back on their feet?
A lot can happen in 60 to 90 days.
It's like a boot camp, isn't it?
It is, but we have I guess, a secret sauce in the way we work, and the change comes from within. So the objective of our program is to clear the barriers, to expose people to new opportunities for themselves, to create opportunities where you're working positively in the community within a team, so you're being accepted in a way that is uncommon. A lot of our participants have never been recognized or never been asked to participate in the community in a positive way, have never been positively acknowledged. So once that trigger kind of ignites in a person, you get them started and they can take it from there. And although the cases may close in 60 to 90 days, we as a community centered organization, we're here. We're here to stay. And a lot of times people complete the program, they graduate, and they often continue to volunteer. They often come back, and if they have a question, we're still there to help.
And you've got employers that are working with you.
Yes, we get job leads all the time. And we also partner with job training agencies like Detroit Employment Solutions Corporation, Sir Metro. So we refer and we get direct leads, and we pass that information on.
Is it mandatory that an individual who participates in the program find employment?
Well, it's not mandatory that they find employment. And again, it depends on the individual. Some people have jobs, but for those who are not employed, we do things like employment readiness. It depends on, if you've completed your education. Maybe we need to step back a little bit and work on completing, a GED program or something of that sort, or get into training before you're ready for a hot lead, so to speak. So it's really individualized. It's not a one-size-fits-all program. And some people, sometimes the employment search can be longer for some individuals. It might be a readiness factor. So some individuals may have to have so many contacts with a job search agency, or maybe we're working on resume, because we can't necessarily guarantee every individual is going to receive employment at the end of 90 days, but we can guarantee you're going to be better off as a result of coming through the program than not having come through the program. So wherever that person is, we meet them at their point of need.
So it really gives you an opportunity to deal with your problems head on instead of avoiding your problems. Because the
Absolutely.
biggest problem that I see is that people avoid dealing with their problems.
Oh yes, the criminal justice system can be scary.
I know. I have
It can be
a
scary.
lot of people.
Mhm.
They'll get arrested, they'll get a bond, then they won't show up, and
Yes.
then they get picked up on an outstanding warrant, and then all of a sudden a member of the family call me and say, "Well, he didn't really do anything wrong,
Right.
and now he's in jail, and it's Labor Day weekend, he can't get out. What do
Not
I
until
do?" I said, "Well,
Tuesday.
you can't do anything until Tuesday."
Right. Oh, that's the worst. Don't
And
do
yeah,
anything this weekend.
yeah, well, that's part of it. We'll talk about that in a few minutes when we come back.
Awesome.
Are you in legal trouble? Are you in need of legal advice? Or just have general legal questions? Call 1-800-529-8721. That's 1-800-LAW-USA1. And watch Law Power Hour and get your questions answered by experienced attorneys who are experts in their field. That's Law Power Hour, hosted by Barry Keller, attorney at law. Saturdays at 10 a.m. here on WHPR Detroit Live.
One of the issues I ask you to look at, and I want to thank you in advance, is the change that's going to occur with respect to driver's responsibility. For the listeners who were very nice to me last week with all your questions. Thank you. We're going to repeat a segment like that probably in the next couple of weeks where you can call in and ask the lawyer questions. One listener called and said, how do I take advantage of the opportunity to get my license back under driver's responsibility? And you did some research for me, and I did some research for you, so we can talk about it.
Okay.
So why don't you start and explain how this new law comes into place? Because it's really important in terms of what goes on in your court.
Absolutely. We have a lot of suspended license tickets that come into our court. Well, the good thing is the law is changing on October 1st of this year, so not too much longer, and driver's responsibility fees will be eliminated, so that's great. Now, if you still need to take action on your license before October 1st, then you can enroll in a payment plan or a workforce development plan or training program, and then you can have those fees waived by doing one of those two things before October 1st.
Okay, now, listen up out there. This is real important. You can wait until October 1st, a month from now, to go down and deal with driver's responsibility. And you can get hit with driver's responsibility in many different ways. You can have too many tickets that you haven't paid. You can be driving on a suspended license, on a revoked license, failure to have insurance. It all depends on how the judge wants to fine you.
That's correct. And if you have one of those triggering offenses, then the driver's responsibility fee just automatically kicks in. But the good thing is relief is on the way, and there are actions that you can take even in this next 30 days if you don't want to have that hanging over your head and following you around.
Now, with respect to the driver's responsibility, you have to go down to the Secretary of State. Just because the driver's responsibility is gone doesn't mean that you don't have a responsibility to go down and get a license.
That's correct. The law still requires you to have a valid license while driving.
And if you have a valid license, and I said, and if you have a valid license and you drive a vehicle and you don't have insurance, you're going to be in trouble all over again.
That is correct. That is correct. So the laws have not changed. You still have to have a valid license. You still have to have valid insurance. It's just on October 1st, the $1,000 2-year penalties will change.
And a word to the wise is when you buy insurance, if your insurance agent tells you, and listen to me carefully because this is really important, if your insurance agent tells you, oh, it's okay to use your uncle's address.
Not okay.
You heard that. It's not okay because you're committing a fraud. If your uncle lives in Farmington Hills and you live in Southwest Detroit and you buy insurance, you better use your Southwest Detroit address or you ain't going to have insurance. And I said ain't, and I meant it.
That's true. That's true. There are different transportation options, public transportation options that are coming available now. There's Lyft. There are other things that you can do. Although it may be difficult, but you don't want to get those tickets and wind up in court and have that process following you around.
Or you don't want to have an accident when you think you're insured and you're using somebody else's address because it's cheaper insurance. And until we work out this issue on insurance, and I think it's going to be a combination of things from the legislature and from the new governor to work this out. Fortunately, Mayor Duggan started the ball rolling by starting the lawsuit.
That's going to be interesting to follow.
Yeah, and I think the purpose behind starting the lawsuit is to get the legislature to act. That's what it really boils down to.
That's true. It's been going on for years now, so we need an insurance solution for Detroit.
So people who use someone else's address and get involved in an accident are going to get a ticket because they're committing a crime. And they're also going to be denied insurance coverage, and that means they are driving uninsured if they're injured, and they're the driver of the car. Consequently, they're going to have bigger problems than they need to have if they're paying insurance dollars for coverage. one person asked me a question. Good morning.
Oh, good morning. I just wanted to state that before Mayor Dunn decided to sue, the new Detroiters already have a federal lawsuit against this insurance for redlining. So perhaps that made his idea to look like he cared. But anyway, the lawsuit already been put in place by new Detroiters who do not want to be redlined in this city for insurance. Thank you for taking my call.
Well, I appreciate that because I know how you feel about what's going on downtown. And that's something I can't comment on, but at least new Detroiters have taken the initiative to do something about this because it's not right. It's not right that there should be two insurance rates. And as I pointed out to you listeners, my son goes to school at U of D. He lives in the city, and he pays 3.5 times as much for his insurance as he would if he used my address in Bloomfield Hills. And by God, his head's on the pillow in Bloomfield Hills at least 50% of the time, but it doesn't matter. He lives in Detroit.
Yes.
That's his home. And
Yes.
that's why he has to pay the higher rate, and it's not fair. So I'm glad there's a suit going on right now, and I'm glad that these issues are going to be resolved because I'm sick and tired of redlining in so many different areas that it offends me that we have to pay these different rates based upon where we're fortunate enough to live.
Absolutely. I'm feeling the pain as well since I still live in Detroit.
I
and my
know,
auto
but I mean-
insurance rate is high. So I'm very curious to see how the litigation resolves from the new Detroiters, from the Duggan administration, to see how the legislative process still works out. I think, well, I hope, within the next year that we'll see some insurance relief as Detroiters.
Just as an aside, this young lady is a native Detroiter.
Absolutely. Very proud.
She spent her whole life here, and she's concerned about her community, which is incredible commitment. Now, we talked about the driver responsibility. There's also another law called the Financial Responsibility Law. For those of you who are under what we call the FR law, the Financial Responsibility Law, the driver's reinstatement is not the same as the Financial Responsibility Law. And I'll explain that to you very quickly, make it to the point. You get in an accident, you're uninsured. They get a judgment against you where they find you at fault. They find monetary damages. Secretary of State can suspend your license because you are not paying a judgment. The Secretary of State can suspend your license because you haven't paid your income tax.
Yes.
The Secretary of State can suspend my professional license if I don't pay my income tax. So it applies to everybody who doesn't pay their income tax. The Secretary of State can suspend your license if you don't pay your child support.
That office has a lot of power.
Right. And that carries over into some of the cases that you have to deal with because there's more than one issue that you have to deal with. Is that true?
Absolutely, absolutely. And one neat thing about our program is that we help resolve all the issues that are before the court at the time. So if you have multiple tickets at 36th District Court, then we'll take the time to work with you and get them all resolved. And even with courts, circuit court or friend of the court, we don't have jurisdiction, but we can connect you with resources, with pro bono clinics to help you be able to work all of those things out and get a clean slate.
So what I've always said is true. Avoidance does not solve the problem.
No, because if you don't answer your ticket, I know it can be a very scary, a very intimidating process. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if you're going to be fined or jail. You just don't know, and uncertainty can be scary. But if you don't appear at court and take care of those matters, then a warrant could be issued. And that means you could be picked up at any time. And it may not be tomorrow, may not be next week. It's often the most inconvenient time that these things happen. So there are options available. Our program is one of them. There are other things through traditional probation offices that a person can inquire about as well. But it's always better just to go deal with it. Don't let the warrant issue. Don't let the interest and penalties accumulate. There are options available for help.
Yeah, I mean, God forbid, how'd you like to be driving to your grandma's funeral and get stopped by the police and get arrested? You can't go to the funeral.
It can happen.
I'm
It's like
serious
it's
about
always
this.
at the most inconvenient time that it happens.
And that's the point. It's at the most inconvenient time. So you've got to take care of these things, but it applies across the board. So you can lose your license for many different reasons. As I was pointing out, it applies across the board. I went to pick up my son's pants at the tailor yesterday.
Oh, that was nice.
So this is just a little aside, but it's kind of humorous.
Mhm.
So the tailor's son said to me, Mr. Keller, he said, I got a ticket in the city of Detroit. I said, the time's over. You're driving on a suspended license, young man.
Mhm, mhm.
He said, what can I do? I said, well, on Tuesday, we'll file an appearance and we'll have to go to court for you.
Mhm.
But in the meantime, you better use Uber or some other service,
Right.
because if you get picked up for driving and they see that you haven't responded
Yeah.
and there's a warrant out there for you, you're going to be in jail all weekend. And it
Correct.
doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you live in Rochester, that's where the tailor's son is from, or Detroit or Pontiac or Sag. It really doesn't matter. If you get picked up driving on a suspended license because your license has been suspended by the court, you are going to spend the next 3 days in jail. We're going to take a break for a minute, and we're going to come back and talk about some of my favorite subjects, the do's and don'ts of holiday weekends.
All right. Sounds exciting.
We'll be right back.
Are you in legal trouble? Are you in need of legal advice? Or just have general legal questions? Call 1-800-529-8721. That's 1-800-LAW-USA1. And watch Law Power Hour and get your questions answered by experienced attorneys who are experts in their field. That's Law Power Hour, hosted by Barry Keller, attorney at law. Saturdays at 10 a.m. here on WHPR Detroit Live.
Well, we're sitting over here talking about the Jazz Fest and where we're going to eat dinner, but that's not what we're going to talk about right now. But we are going to talk about the Jazz Fest for a few minutes because what's going on this weekend is really great in the city of Detroit. And many of our listeners are going to be going off with their friends and their families to listen to music, enjoy the Labor Day weekend, attend Labor Day events.
Yeah.
But what's really important is when you get in the car, make sure of the following. What are you going to make sure of when you get in the car?
Well, a few do's and don'ts. One ticket that we see in our court a lot are what we call open intox tickets. So if you have an adult beverage, alcohol, you cannot have it open in the vehicle. Not the driver, not the passenger, not the top crack just a little bit, not I'm going to hang on to it. I'm not drinking and driving, but I'm just going to take it with me. Then the beverage, the adult beverage, the alcohol beverage cannot be open in the vehicle at all. Not for the driver, not for the passenger, not in the front seat, not in the back seat. And a lot of people don't know that. And we do see that ticket. And people are like, I wasn't drinking. I don't get it. But you can't have the beverage open. So no open alcohol beverages in the car.
And you know what the dead giveaway is? It's the cup. The cup's out and the cup holder, and you get stopped And the officer said, would you hand me the cup? And you hand him the cup,
Mhm.
and he smells Don Julio in there.
Yeah.
And he knows it's in the car someplace.
Right. The cup is a major giveaway, but there can't be containers, not the lid cracked on the beer. It can't be open at all.
It can't be in your purse
No.
or your backpack. I'm very serious about this. We want you to have a good weekend. So when you get in the car, there are do's and don'ts. And one of them was just pointed out by Tanya, which is really important about liquor. Another one is do not get in the car with anybody who's packing.
It's true. It can be trouble for the entire vehicle, even if it's not you per se. If your guests have illegal paraphernalia on them, then you can get caught up in the situation and you may be charged as well.
And that also applies to guns.
Well, that's a big no-no.
Yeah, I mean, if you're driving with someone who has a gun in the car and you're a passenger in the car, you can be charged along with the driver of the car. You'll probably be released unless you've got a prior record, but
Well, let's just play it safe and not leave weapons at home.
so what we're trying to do in a nice way is to tell you ways to avoid problems over the holiday weekend. Now, a little earlier I was talking about the financial responsibility and I didn't finish that. Under the financial responsibility, it's important for you to know that if you have a judgment against you and you have a financial responsibility judgment, you still can get a driver's license. But you have to get a financial responsibility driver's license and you have to post financial responsibility insurance. So if you do those two things, then you're covered. Now, Tanya pointed out about the driver's program to get your privileges back. October 1st is the date. After October 1st, you go down to Secretary of State, but you have to follow the rules.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. So again, October 1st is the date that those fines and penalties go away. If you want to take action before October 1st, then you can enroll in a workforce development program. They ask for about 10 hours a week. So if you're looking for employment or looking to up your skills and it's something that you would do anyway, then make sure you ask that program to get the paperwork so you can also eliminate your driver's responsibility fees early.
Now I'm going to hit you with, God bless
Excuse
you,
me. Thank you.
I'm going to hit you with an
A
area
little
that,
chilly in here.
we're okay.
Yes.
Here's a serious question for you this morning. A lot of the people that come into your program, what causes them to come into the program? Why do they end up in the system? Why do they end up in the program to begin with?
Wow, well, that's a difficult question. Well, many reasons. Many reasons.
Well, let's talk about those reasons because I think it's important for our listeners to be cued in on how they can avoid these problems. And the only way to avoid them is to talk about how and why people end up in the system.
Well, you have different categories. Sometimes with the driver's tickets, that can be economic, quality of life. You don't have the money to get things in order, and you make a choice to drive, which you shouldn't. But, some people, if they can secure their economic position more, they'll be able to take care of those matters. So for them, maybe that situation is helping them to better their job skills, to get better employment. For some people, it could be substance abuse issues as an underlying cause, and then we need to look at treatment. For some people, it could be mental health. That's a huge, over 60% of people in jail actually have mental illness. Sometimes diagnosed, sometimes not diagnosed. So we need to connect them with treatment. And then sometimes, positive social connections. A lot of our young people, unfortunately, we do get teenagers, 17-year-olds in our program as well, because you can receive a misdemeanor ticket at 17 years of age and you're in the court with the rest of the adults. And some of our 17 to 25-year-olds, it's, life choices, life decisions. Maybe they haven't had, certain influences in their life, or they just made a bad decision. All of us make mistakes. And with that, I don't want to ramble on too long, But you also have the HIDA law, the Homes Youthful Training Act. So individuals between 17 and 24, that they can be eligible to automatically get their cases dismissed, and that can apply for felonies or misdemeanors when you comply with the court's orders, recognizing that a lot of times in that 17 to 24-year-old stage, people don't always make the best of decisions in that. So it could be many things, but we sit down and we do an individual assessment with each person. We talk about family history, we talk about goals, we talk about aspirations, and we come up with a plan in partnership with that individual, because at the end of the day, it's your life, right? So
Okay.
you have ownership over it, and we help you work through what the underlying issues are in your life to be successful.
Okay, this is what we're going to do.
Mhm.
Each one of us who has a child over the age of 10 or an adult child living at home
Mhm.
is going to spend 4 hours,
Hmm.
not at one time, but 4 hours this weekend talking about goals,
That's not a bad idea.
aspirations, and plans so that we can help you. And I'm talking about Tanya's program, the resources that we have available through our show, through the expungement program, helping people get jobs, so that we can help you help your families get back on their feet. Now, if you dedicate yourself to do that, and you've got a problem, and you need a solution to the problem, maybe we can help you.
Absolutely.
Tanya's going to give you the telephone number of her agency, and you can call my office, and we certainly will help give you an answer. You may not like the answer. And I'm going to say this quite frankly, because I had a charming lady come to me, and she wanted to know why she couldn't get all of her grandchildren back after they've been taken away from their mother. And it was real simple. The court said that they could have no contact with their mother, but she kept on allowing her daughter to come around and bring food for the children. She said, well, all she did is bring food. She didn't see them.
Yeah.
Well, that's not true.
Right.
And the judges in the courts aren't fools. They know these things in the real world happen, where they talk to each other, they hug each other. They should. It's normal.
Yeah.
But you got to follow rules. So let's dedicate 4 hours over the holiday weekend of making our family life better, so we've got less problems to deal with.
Yeah, 4 hours is not a long time. And some of the things that I've seen some of our clients do that's really, really cool is a vision boarding exercise. And it's really simple. It's nothing fancy. You can get a piece of paper, put it on your wall. You don't need anything fancy. But you think about, what do I want? What do I want for myself? What do I want for my family? And you get a mental picture of that, and you put it on your paper. You can cut out magazine pictures. You can write with a marker, but you put it on your wall. You put it on a board, and you hang it up somewhere on your refrigerator, on your bedroom wall, somewhere that you and your family can see it, and you constantly walk by it, and you're reminded, this is for me. This is my goal. This is my plans. And those visual triggers actually become embedded within us, and it causes us to take action. So that's a really simple thing that the family can do. The kids get into it. They like cutting and pasting and tearing up stuff. And just put it there. And that's something that you can refer back to, and it's a motivator for you and your family. It's not expensive. Anybody can do it. Lots of fun.
Now, what's interesting about what Tanya's telling you is that here we are, the two of us, this old man and this young woman, and both of us had a vision. Neither one of us come from a background where our families were professionals or lawyers.
No, not at all.
But we had a vision. We wanted to do something different with our lives.
Yes.
And that's why we made a commitment to do something different with our lives.
Yes.
And that's how you became a lawyer.
That's right.
Your mother said, well, why do you want to do the things you're doing? You had a vision, didn't you?
I did. And
Right.
I'm very thankful.
And when you have a vision, you can make a difference for yourself. So having a visual board an opportunity or sitting down. I know you think I'm a little lunatic over here sometimes, but I'm not. If you spend the time to sit down and talk about the things that you want to accomplish, and they're realistic.
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
realistic, instead of yelling at somebody and saying, you got to go to work,
Hmm.
sit down and say, what kind of work would you like to do?
Absolutely. Then it becomes an internal motivator. You're doing it not because you're afraid of somebody, not because you're being forced, but because you want to. And that internal change is the most powerful change. So do that for yourself. I mean, do that for your kids. Ask your kids how do they want the school year to go and have them put it on the board. And they begin to look at that and they can see and visualize themselves being successful on the team, being successful in their schoolwork. I mean, it's really powerful. When I first started doing it, I had some doubts a little bit, but I've done these several times. They're really easy, and it's a very powerful way to just be internally motivated. So when challenges and difficult times arise, if I happen to see you in my courtroom, you have other strengths that you can pull on to continue to help you get through. And I'm sorry, you asked me to provide the phone number. Let me
Absolutely.
provide our office phone number, and I'll repeat it twice. It is 313-879-2155. Again, that's 313-879-2155. So if you have a ticket with 36th District Court, or even if you just want to be connected with other resources in the city of Detroit, that's what both of us are here for, and you look forward to taking your call and helping the best way we can.
You can call me at 248-335-9266, 248-335-9266. And if you have an expungement problem, you want to get back on your feet, if you have a bunch of tickets that have to be resolved, I'll tell you how to do it. I won't stand in line down at the court. I'll make you stand there, but I'll tell you how to do it.
That's powerful. The expungement law is just such a powerful tool to get a fresh start. So
My
that's great.
firm, and I'm very proud, has done 22 pro bono expungements this year.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Give
You're on a
that as a-
roll.
Give that as a credit to my dear wife who practices with me and my assistant Mohammed Hamoud. We have
Okay.
accomplished 22,
That's wonderful. 22 fresh starts, clean slates. That's powerful.
and people are back on their feet. We're going to take a break for a minute. We'll be right back.
Are you in legal trouble? Are you in need of legal advice? Or just have general legal questions? Call 1-800-529-8721. That's 1-800-LAW-USA1. And watch Law Power Hour and get your questions answered by experienced attorneys who are experts in their field. That's Law Power Hour, hosted by Barry Keller, attorney at law. Saturdays at 10 a.m. here on WHPR Detroit Live.
Well, we're back this morning. We haven't had many calls, but we want to thank the nice lady who called in about the lawsuit in Detroit. So here we are in the last 15 minutes of the show. Come on, ask us some questions because we've got lots of answers for you on these issues. And keep in mind that when Tanya said to you that there are opportunities out there, that they have employers, they're talking about real jobs for real people
Absolutely.
with real agencies to get people back on their feet.
Yes.
Because the key to success, unfortunately, does not rest at home. The key to success means getting up, getting dressed, getting out the door, getting a job, and learning how to become a responsible citizen.
Yes.
It's your ability to pay your bills, Here we go. Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, I have a question about DUI and expungement of that off your record. Can that be expunged after 5 years?
Okay, you're asking what can be expunged?
A DUI case.
No, DUIs cannot be expunged.
What about OWI?
OWI cannot be expunged. Anything related to driving, or alcohol-related driving offenses cannot be expunged.
Okay,
Yes.
so I have somebody that's supposed to be trying to get a job. Can they get a special license?
Yes,
The DUI or OWI on their record? Or
of course you can get a license. That's not going to prohibit you from getting a license. But if you have two of them, you're going to have trouble getting a license, because you have to go to the Secretary of State if you have two of them, and you have to get a special license. But now the law's changed on that. It's much easier to get it if you go through a program. I just completed a program for a man who had two OUIs, and he had to go through a driver's restoration program, and he was turned down by the local agency but approved by the court.
Okay.
But it requires going through a special program. Your insurance will be a little higher, but it can be done. But if you get three OUIs, you're going to the Gray Bar Hotel. And if you don't know what the Gray Bar Hotel is, I'll make it real simple. You're going to jail. You're going to spend at least a year in jail. So don't get a third. Don't drink and drive. Just learn sobriety. You're better
well,
off.
I'm looking at a situation that has happened. That a person got convicted and someone passed, and they went to jail. But they're trying to come out and do the right thing now, and they haven't been drinking. And it's been over 5 years, and they didn't get another job, but it's 15 miles out the way.
Okay, here's the deal. If you need a job and you got the drinking offenses, give me a call and I'll help you find a job. 248-335.
We have the job.
Oh, you got the job.
Yeah, we have the job. It's just that they stay so far away. We're trying to see if we can work on getting their license back and them transportation out to the job.
Okay, well then give me a call and I'll see if we can help you get your license back. 248-335-9266.
Okay, I'd like you to repeat that one more time.
248-335-9266.
9266.
Right. I do some work with people in the Salvation Army who go through rehabilitation. So I'm very familiar with getting licenses back for people who have unfortunately had habitual drinking problems and drug problems. And it can be done.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Thank you. So getting back to what we were discussing in your programs,
Yes.
because I got a little sidetracked
Okay.
there.
Mhm.
People can contact you regardless, as you said, and I want to repeat this again. They can contact you regardless whether they're in the system or not.
That's correct. So we are a nonprofit organization, and we are here to help. So elements of our program do have a geographic focus, but again, I'll give you the number 313-879-2155, and we can connect anyone, regardless of whether you have a ticket in Southwest Detroit or not, with help and with resources, or you just need somebody to talk to. You can give us a call. You can visit at our office. We're here to help.
So you got it down. It's connecting, getting you out of the house and getting you connected so you can get back on your feet, that you can support yourself, support your family, become a better citizen, a better parent, more responsible.
Yeah, we all need support, and we all need connection and access to resources. So we have a list of resource providers. We have a list of employment providers. So sometimes it's about what resources you have access to, so we can help connect you.
And Dr. Holly's having a employment fair at the end of the month down at his church.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
one of the things that's really important is that convicted felons can get jobs. we'll be there doing expungements, but we want you to know that you can come down. We'll give you the dates next week. Convicted felons can get jobs. And there are a lot of employers who will hire individuals with felony records, with the exception of those involving sex crimes.
Right. So it's not the end of the road if you've been in prison before. It's not the end of the road. There are resources available. I love this job fair. I'm going to put it on my resource board.
It's going to be on your resource
All
board, and I'll
right.
give you the date and the
Yes.
time,
Mhm.
because there will be maybe 30 different employers there looking for people. And I can't toot the horn of one or two employers on the air because it's not right, but there are plenty of jobs out there. My gosh, when McDonald's is paying $12, $13 an hour to hire people, and that's a decent wage for a starting job.
Absolutely.
And so we feel that a difference can be made, and we want you to make the difference, because the more people are employed, the better our Detroit will be.
Absolutely. You know, strong individuals make strong communities, makes a better society. So we're all in it together.
So having said all that, let's be strong this weekend. Let's stay out of trouble. I'm going to cut off the air a little early today because we haven't had many calls. I wish you all a happy holiday.
Yes, thank you for having me, Barry, and everyone have a wonderful, safe, happy holiday weekend.
We'll see you soon.